The day after I finished my water, the vultures found me, dark shapes drifting through the cloudless sky, framed black against the sun. I'd long since lost count of the passage of days since the raiders' attack. When they came, I was afraid, and before their onslaught, I'd fled. All that I held most dear was lost. I was alone, wandering through this barren land of dust and stone beneath the endless cycle of scorching sun and frigid moon. For a time, the snakes and scorpions had been my only friends, but as I walked, they had left me as well, and soon I'd found myself adrift in a place devoid of life. I longed for the touch of grass or the gentle caress of rain, but I knew I'd never see the green-cloaked hills of my youth again. This desolate place would be my unmarked grave. I'd pass away as little more than a whisper, for none remained to remember my name. Was this justice for my cowardice? And even if I had the strength, where would I go? I was such a small, fragile thing. Here, the vastness stretched out forever in every direction. How could such a place have an end? Now, as death slowly tightened her grip, the vultures had come to break my solitude, drawn to my fading strength and growing thirst by some secret sense known not to mortal men. Far ahead, a great mesa rose from the empty flatlands, wavering behind a wall of heat as it reached to touch the sky. With little thought, my aching feet carried me towards it. I knew not why. I no longer gave any heed to my direction, for I was without hope or purpose. As the sun sank towards the distant east, and all the sky was awash with flame, I came across an ancient riverbed, dry and cracked and strewn with rocks. The moment I saw it, I knew it held nothing for me. I clambered down its side anyway, swaying on my feet, woozy and slick with sweat. In desperation, I turned over rocks and raked at the dirt with trembling fingers, but I found no hint of water, and soon I fell to my knees, exhausted. The vultures called down to me, eagerly. Was it time to let them feast? Surely only death remained. I lay down to await my fate, and cursed the darkening sky. In my dreams, I rode across a wind-swept plain alongside my kin. Their eyes were sunken, and their skin pale. Dark gashes stretched across their throats, weeping bloody froth. We argued, and we fought. My prodigious brother, always the favourite, sided with my father, and together they laid my insufficiencies bare. My resentment grew into anger, my anger into fury, and I cursed them. My mother tried to console me and bring us back together in peace. In doing so, she drew my ire, and so she was cursed as well. My father raged, my brother snared, my mother wept, and I rode off, sullen and silent. Then in the night the raiders came, demons clad in the husks of cold-eyed men. Cries of anger and fear filled the night. I rode back to a scene of slaughter. My brother lay slain, my father staggered as he fought, drenched in the blood of many wounds. My mother saw me from afar and cried out for me to flee. I should have died with them. Instead, their screams followed me as I fled. The rumble of distant thunder woke me. The fledgling gold of dawn touched the western sky, turning the black of night to grey. A new day, and I still lived. Death seemed so close at hand, yet even as I accepted her, she refused to claim me. I'd chosen to live when I should have died. Now I was cursed to endure. Another clap of thunder boomed across the expanse, vibrating through the ground and up my spine. Far off, a great cloud churned the sky. In the other direction, the mesa awaited. If I was to endure, I would not wallow, broken and defeated. I would stand proud and strong, wrapped in the sky's embrace. Then, standing atop the very roof of the world, perhaps I would finally meet my fate. The day waxed, then waned, then faded into dusk as I trekked across that land of dust. The clouds followed, sending howling winds before them. Lightning forked across the sky, and thunderous roars shook the world. My stomach cramped, my head swam. My throat was so cracked and dry I could scarcely breathe. But always the oncoming storm spurred me on, willing me to my end. In the evening, beneath a heavy sky, the land began to rise, the dust and solid stone giving way to fields of jagged scree. I'd reached the maze's bottommost slopes. It loomed over me, stark in the fading light like a great Nephilimic tombstone, standing vigil since the eldest of days. I scrambled upwards. The broken rock shifted treacherously under my feet. I stumbled and fell, shredding the skin on my hands and knees. Yet still I pressed on, onwards and upwards, as the slopes became ever steeper. Then, as the light all but failed, I came to the maze's towering reddish cliffs, webbed with countless cracks and clefts. In the darkness and the growing fury of the storm, I climbed, leaving a trail of bloody handprints in my wake. The winds raged around me, trying to tear me from my perch. Lightning revealed the cliff face for an instant, then left me in darkness again. Unstable rock crumbled beneath my grip and fell away. My burning muscles screamed. Exhaustion numbed my mind. I climbed. Eventually, I clambered onto a ledge-like track. Whether it was cut by human hands or carved by an eon's worth of wind and rain, I could not guess. Here I rested for a moment, sheltering in a shallow nook. The full moon crested the distant horizon, piercing the cloud cover to bathe me in the faintest hint of her silver light. Then I went on. The track wound its way up the maze's side, at times open to the storm, at others snaking through deep clefts and gullies long dry. I passed faded scenes, painted long ago by an ancient hand, hunters and bison, shaman bearing rounded drums, men with horns and wings descending from the sky, the legacy of a long-forgotten people, now dead. Then, when I was almost at the maze's top, the rain began. At first it seemed a gift, soothing my lips and cleansing my dusty skin. I stood beneath a murky rivulet running down the weathered cliffs from above and drank. But as I clambered upward, the rain would not relent. It fell heavier and harder, lashing me from every side. The rivulets grew from gentle trickles into rushing streams, into raging torrents. I struggled on along the flooded track, scrambling for purchase on the slippery rocks, lest I be swept away and cast over the precipice. Just as I despaired of being overcome, I pulled myself up onto the maze's top. There, in the darkness, amidst the wind and rain, while thunder and lightning split the sky, I stood in the open, shouting my wordless defiance. But even as my cries tore at my throat, the wind swept them away. I was silent, even to myself. In a flash of lightning, I glimpsed a rock carved by time to bear a serpent's face. Fighting against the wind, I staggered towards it. Lightning flashed again, and within the serpent's jaws, I saw a shadow wreathed in darkness. It stepped out to meet me. At first it wore my face, then I blinked and it wore my father's, then my brother's, then my mother's. "Why did you abandon us?" a whisper echoed through my mind. It advanced. Unfazed by the storm, I recoiled, barely keeping my feet. As I retreated, I shrunk and faded, while the shadow only grew, spreading to encompass everything with malice writ across its ever-shifting face. Around us, the silhouettes of raiders and vultures danced, mocking me in some rasping, incomprehensible tongue. I stepped backwards and tottered at the precipice. Below yawned the bottomless abyss. The winds pulled at me, willing me to my doom. Lightning struck, searing my eyes, and for an instant the shadow was revealed, mighty and terrible, yet mine alone. I charged. In my roar was the thunder, and in the thunder was my roar. Then in the darkness, amidst a raging storm, we fought. The shadow writhed around me, suffocating and all-consuming, stabbing my mind with pain and fear. I couldn't breathe. In your jealousy, you cursed your brother's virtue, though he was all you strived to be. In your resentment, you cursed your father's justice, though harsh, it was ever fair. In your ingratitude, you cursed your mother's love, for always she sought for peace and harmony. From such things only suffering can come to be. You cursed them, and with your curse you brought their doom. The raiders came and spilled their blood. In their moment of need, you fled. Coward, traitor, cursed to live on with nothing but your shame. The shadow's whispering grew loud and harsh, ringing in my ears and piercing my soul. Yet always I endured, for here, at the end of all things, what choice did I have? The shadow wavered and shrunk. I straightened out, standing strong and tall. Inhaling, I drew it into me, and through its whispered voice, I spoke. Their deaths were not wrought by my hand. To blame myself solves nothing. I fled, but I survived. Within me their memory remains. I alone remain to remember their names. What other choice did I have? To blame myself solves nothing. I awoke with a start, nestled in the shadow of a great rock. What in the night had seemed serpentine was revealed by the sun to be nothing but shapeless stone. I stood and looked around. The day was bright and clear and new. The water pooling across the plateau glistened golden in the light. Far below stretched an endless desert, arrayed with the barest hint of fledgling green.